Yo, what is up? It is your boy Zither back at it again with a brand new video. Now, as you guys can see from the title, this is going to be what if Deku had Kid Flash's powers. Now, I know there's a lot of what if Deku had the Speed Force? What if Deku was the Flash? What if Deku had the Flash's powers? You know, all that stuff. But a lot of y'all is sleeping on Kid Flash, and you know, I figured I'd be the guy who comes over here and puts his foot down and says, you know what, why don't I make a what if Deku had Kid Flash's powers? But with that being said, you know, this is going to be a banger, as you guys all know. And with nothing else too much to say, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And yeah, okay, so to start things off with this amazing series, in this version, Inko's hair is actually going to be ginger. She's going to be a ginger head. And, you know, Deku's also going to have ginger hair, just like Kid Flash. So, that being said, that's the color of his hair when he's born. Since I don't really want to make it, like, have some weird scenario where Hisashi's like, hold on now. What's going on here? I got black hair, you got green hair. What is this? No, I don't want none of that to happen. So, that being said, you know, Deku's hair is going to be ginger and his mom's is going to be ginger too. So, yeah. Okay, guys. So, in this version of events, when Deku's growing up, he's actually kind of made fun of for his hair, you know, by all of the other kids except for Katsuki. I mean, she doesn't ever make fun of Deku's hair. She actually kind of likes it. And yeah, that being said, guys, I'm pretty sure you guys all know this, but Bakugo is going to be gender bended and name is going to be Katsuki. So, that being said, we're just going to be referring to him or her in this series as Katsuki. So, yeah, just make sure that you guys are aware, you know, Bakugo is going to be gender bended and pretty much look like his mom. So, yeah, that being said, let's go. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and skip over. So everything essentially goes by normal. I mean, Deku's best friends with Katsuki, and he still hangs out with those two little, you know, kids that they hang out with. So that being said, you know, everything's kind of normal, I guess you could say, for a 4-year-old. Until one day, Deku was actually in his PE class, you know, doing a little bit of a race with all the other kids, as out of nowhere, some lightning streaks just go off in Deku's eyes as the whistle gets blown, as Deku's perception of time slows down, as Deku blitzes off and he actually can't stop, so he ends up running into the gym equipment closet, getting pretty badly hurt. And after this, Deku's actually rushed off to the quirk doctor and the normal doctor. Once he arrives, Deku actually says that he actually feels just fine for some reason, as Inko says, what? Didn't you just say that you felt your ankle was sprained or something like that? As Deku says, I mean, yeah, but I feel good now. As she would say, what the heck? And she would say, we definitely got to get that quirk of yours tested out. Maybe you have regeneration. As Deku says, that'd be awesome. As, you know, they would arrive to the quirk doctor, as, you know, they're then told that Deku is actually going to be having a quirk called the Speed Force. It's classified as a speed-based quirk, and they ended up naming it the Speed Force because it's kind of weird. It doesn't work like any of the other... Sorry, guys. It doesn't work like any of the other, you know, normal speed-based quirks. It's kind of weird. Whenever he uses it, he gets lightning, and you just see, like, lightning streaks. Obviously, Deku's not exactly as fast as the Flash, or Kid Flash at this point. He's just as fast as, I guess you could say, he's half as fast as Barry Allen in like that show. So he's about that fast. So that being said, you know, nothing too crazy, but it's definitely pretty fast. So with that being said, Deku would proceed to just like be tested out a little bit, as Deku's then told that his quirk is, you know, it is what it is, and his only drawback is essentially that, you know, he's gonna have an immense appetite and that he's gonna be having to consume a lot of calories to keep up with his body, since he's gonna have a really fast metabolism and everything about him is gonna be pretty fast, except for one thing, if you all know what I'm talking about. That being said, guys, you know, Deku does have all of his things being pretty fast. I mean, his regeneration, his speed, his perception of time, his, you know, all that, you know, basic stuff. We all know this stuff. Come on now. Everybody knows how the Speed Force works. So, with that being said, you guys might be wondering, what the hell? How did he get the Speed Force? Don't you have to be like chemicals, dark matter, da-da-da-da-da? Well, just chalk it up to plot. plot. It's plot. Honestly, guys, I was thinking of maybe doing like he was at a lab and then like chemicals spilled and but then I was just like, yeah, how about no? And then I was just like, this is much easier. So with that being said, Deku quite literally has the Speed Force. They classify it as a quirk, but it's not really a quirk. It's kind of just a Speed Force. So with that being said, Deku would actually grow up, trying to get a little bit of a handle on his quirk. And as soon as this happens, and as soon as he comes back to school, he actually tells everybody about what's going on. I mean, and everybody's just shocked. Deku has super speed. He's incredible. His quirk may be even better than Katsuki's. As Deku and Katsuki look at each other, as Deku says that, nah, there's no way. I mean, she has an amazing quirk too. Plus, I'm pretty sure she would beat me if we ever fought. She would say, huh, I bet I would. As Deku would say, would you like to train together? She would say, you know what, that actually sounds kind of nice. As Deku and Katsuki would actually grow up being kind of popular. They'd be known as the dynamic duo of the school, and Deku and Katsuki would actually grow up being quite popular. After this, nobody would really mess with Deku, and he would be pretty damn cool. He would spend the next couple of years training with Katsuki, so she would actually be pretty strong herself. Her explosions would be like 2 times more stronger than Bakugo's in the original, and she'd be pretty fit, as well as Deku. Deku would have that Bakugo body type, or no, I guess you could say he would have Kid Flash's body type. He would essentially be built like him. In terms of how tall is he, let's look that up. Let me look up Kid Flash's height to give him that exact height. Okay, so in this version, Deku's actually going to be 5'7" by the time that he is 15. Nothing too crazy. I kind of thought that maybe he'd be a little taller, but it's cool. He's no. He's 5'8" at this point. Yeah, he's 5'8" at this point. Come on now, can't do Deku like that. And he's pretty damn tall for his age. Let me look up how tall Deku is actually. I'd like to see how tall he is. 5'5". Yeah, he's actually not that short as I thought. So yeah, Deku's actually gonna be 5'8" in the series. And yeah, that being said, Deku would spend the next couple of years trying to get a handle on his quirk. Now, at this point, Deku would have actually, gotten a little bit in touch with the Speed Force. At this point, Deku would be about 15 years old, and he'd be as fast as the Flash in the little CW show. So he's pretty damn fast, and faster than All Might, that's for sure. As well as having, a couple extra abilities. One of them being that he actually found out that if he runs around in a vortex, he can actually create a little bit of a tornado. As Deku would have actually thought that that's awesome. But other than that, Deku just has pretty basic abilities. He's just kind of focused on his super speed, physical training, and, what also comes with the speed is a pretty dope body. So Deku is actually pretty fit. So with that being said, and also training, Deku is pretty fit. He's more along the lean side since, Deku is a speedster and, he's not exactly going to be bulky. So that being said, Deku is pretty built. He's exactly built like the Flash in the thumbnail. And with that being said, that's essentially how that goes. We're going to go ahead and skip over to the day of the sludge villain, as things would essentially go to canon. Oh wait, no, not really, because the teacher, everything would go to canon up until the teacher, Teacher walks in and says, I know you all want to become heroes. As everybody would just be like, yeah, we all want to become heroes. We're going to be great. As, Deku would essentially, be in a bag just talking with Katsuki, as the teacher is like, oh, Katsuki and Deku, you both want to go to UA, I see. As Deku would say, yeah, we want to go to UA. We want to see what we can do over there. As Katsuki and Deku would say, yeah, I mean, come on now. We're going to be amazing heroes one day. And we're going to be the top. I'm going to be the number 1 hero. One of us is. As Katsuki would say, hey, don't be so sure that you're going to be the number 1. I might just run in there and take that spot for myself. As Deku and Katsuki would actually look at each other and then smile and start laughing. And this is when class would essentially go by as a normal day. By the end of it, she would actually ask Deku if he wants to go train with her a little bit. As Deku would say that, nah, he actually has to get home today. His mom said that she's cooking up something pretty special, so Deku doesn't want to miss it. She would understand and say that it's cool. As she would say that she's going to go off to train. As she would tell him that, if he wants, he can maybe catch her later. As Deku would say, sure thing. As he would say, maybe you'll see me around. And she would say, I bet I will. As Deku would then proceed to walk home, just chilling, taking a different path, trying to get there quick. As Deku could just blitz over there, nobody could tell, but, he wants to take a pretty good walk today. I mean, it's a pretty nice day. As Deku would take a different path, as out of nowhere, some green sludge would just appear out of nowhere, as Deku was just like, what the hell is this? As that thing would just be lunging at him, but Deku would just be looking at it in slow motion as he pokes at it, and he's like, the hell is this? As the sludge villain is just there like, I'm in your body, kid. As Deku's just, walking around it. As he then, goes back to where he was, and he's like, huh? As the sludge villain would jump at Deku, as Deku would move to the side, as the sludge villain goes into the wall. As Deku would then say, hey, it's not exactly the nicest thing in the world to try to take a kid's body, As the sludge villain would then say, the hell? Give me your body, kid. I don't have the time. I didn't know that freak was in town. As Deku would say, freak? What freak? As he would say, hurry up. Give me your damn body. As the sludge villain would then rush at Deku, but Deku would just, run around it. As he would then say, people like you are pretty annoying, so I'm going to put you down. As Deku would proceed to run around the sludge villain, creating a small tornado. As he's not going that fast, trying not to cause a big tornado to, create a scene, as Deku would, have the sludge villain fly everywhere. It would spread everywhere. This is when All Might would run around the corner and see a sort of, red light, just a red streak of an orange and reddish streak flying around. As Deku would say, the hell? I mean, All Might would say, the hell? As Deku would then say, oh my god, All Might, it's you. As the sludge villain would then wrap around Deku's leg. As Deku would then say, ew. As he would then run off. As the sludge villain would then be like, ugh. As it would then just be like, oh, I can't get away anymore. It would just accept its fate. And Deku would just be fanboying as he's helping All Might gather the sludge villain. This is when All Might would then say, kid, what's your quirk? As Deku would say, oh, my quirk? It's a speed-based quirk. It's called the Speed Force. As All Might would say, Speed Force, huh? Sounds interesting. As Deku would say, yeah, pretty cool. As All Might would say, so how fast are you, kid? As Deku would look at All Might and nudge him on the shoulder as he then says, pretty sure I could outrun you. As All Might would then say, you're pretty cocky there, aren't you, kid? As Deku would say, I'm not joking. I could probably beat you in a race. As All Might would then say, how about this, kid? We'll race from here to the beach. As Deku would then say, huh, you're on, All Might? As All Might would then be like, oh, wait, the time limit. As Deku and All Might would then get into their stances to run off. As in that second, All Might would deform and debuff. As Deku then looks at him and stops before he can even run off, falling. As he then says, the hell? What the hell? You're an imposter. What are you doing here? Where's All Might? As All Might would say, kid, trust me, it's coughing out some blood as he then says, it's me, trust me. As Deku would say, I don't know about this one, man. As All Might would then say, explain everything, and Deku would then understand. As All Might would then say, so kid, you said you're faster than me? As Deku would say, pretty sure. I mean, I don't know if we've seen your top speed yet, but if what you've shown is your top speed, I'm pretty sure I could beat you. As All Might would then say, interesting. So, this is when All Might would then offer Deku one for all, explaining everything. As Deku would say, as much as I would love to have that quirk, All Might, I don't really think I need it. I mean, I already have a pretty amazing quirk, but if you're looking for a successor, I think I may know of somebody who can be a pretty amazing successor for you. As All Might would say, and who's that? As Deku would say, well, she's pretty amazing. I mean, I've trained with her all my life, and she's pretty damn powerful, so maybe you could train her up. As he would say, huh, that doesn't sound like a bad idea. As All Might would then say, how about this, kid? You give me your number, and I'll meet you at Dagoma Beach tomorrow. As Deku would say, really? As All Might would say, you bet, kid. As Deku would then say, wow, thanks, All Might. As Deku would then grab All Might's number and then rush home, right on time before Inko could even say anything. As he would say, hey, Mom, how's your day? As she would say, pretty good, sweetie. I mean, the food's ready. As Deku and Inko would proceed to eat. As he would then say, hey, Mom, I gotta go. Katsuki told me to meet her up at, the usual spot. As she would say, you and her, always together. As she would then say, why don't you guys just start dating already? I mean, you guys have had a pretty amazing relationship ever since you guys were kids. As Deku would then blush and say, Mom, I don't know about that. As he would say, she's a pretty cool friend, and I don't want to mess that up. As she would say, I get it. As Deku would then look at her and say, well, I gotta go, Mom. As he would then blitz off the door, she would say, don't use your, as Deku would have just been off, as she would say, Quirk. She would say, well, can't really stop the youngin', as, Deku would blitz over to Katsuki, as she would say, hey, I knew you'd stop by. As Deku would say, yeah, and I got some pretty amazing news. Guess what? I met All Might. And she would say, what? All Might? You have to be joking. I mean, how? As Deku would then say, well, I was walking home from school and a villain attacked me, so I had to stop it. As she would say, well, did the right choice. As Deku would say, yeah, and by chance, I ended up meeting All Might. He said he wants to meet you tomorrow. As she would say, really? As Deku would say, yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty cool to meet him. As she would say, wow, that's amazing. As Deku would say, yeah, so, what do you think? She would say, definitely. As she would then ask, so, you hungry? As Deku would look at her and say, totally. As he would say, I'm always hungry. Come on now. I have this insane, metabolism. As she would say, true that. As she would say, you want to come over to my place and eat? As he would say, is your mom cooking? As she would say, of course. As Deku would say, I'm in. So, they would go to Katsuki's house. They would then have a little bit of a dinner there. As Deku would then just be having a good time talking to Katsuki's mom. As they would all just be having a pretty damn good night, talking to the dad. As they would then go off to the room. This is when Deku and Katsuki would proceed to just lay down on the bed as they proceed to just start playing video games. This is when Deku would proceed to body her in every game, since he has a pretty damn good perception of time. So in terms of Call of Duty or like these weird games, Deku is pretty damn skilled. He can see things coming from a mile away, so he never really does lose. If this hero thing doesn't work out, he could probably become a pro gamer. So that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the very next day. Very next day arrives, and this is when Deku introduces Katsuki to All Might. As All Might would then explain One For All to her, she would say, wow, that's incredible. I never knew that quirks could be passed down. As All Might would say, yeah, but before that, I just want to see if you're ready. I'm going to need you to clean the beach. As Deku would then say, oh, clean the beach? That's no problem. As Deku would blitz around and begin to clean it, and it would be clean in about 10 seconds. All Might would then say, what the? No wait, not 10 seconds. Let's say 30 seconds. It took about a couple months, so let's say 30 seconds. Deku wasn't exactly the strongest, so 30 seconds. Yeah, 30 seconds. Deku would blitz around and the beach would be cleaned in no time. This one All Might would then say, well, I guess that's over with. As All Might would then, be like, that was for her. As Deku would say, I can just dirty it up again if you want. As All Might would say, no, I guess I could just start teaching her now. As, All Might would then look at her and say, how about this? We have a little bit of a sparring session, and if you win, or if you even land one hit on me, then I'll give you the quirk now. If not, I'm going to have to train you rigorously before then. As they would fight, and Katsuki would actually be on the losing side most of it, but she would then land a pretty good land on hit on All Might. It would surprise him pretty much, since she would have used a very unorthodox movement, something kind of like Gran Torino. As All Might would then remember him and be like, scary. As All Might would then look at her and say, well, I did promise it. As he would then say, eat this. She would then proceed to eat this hair, being like, what the hell? What do you mean eat this? Why would I eat that? As he would explain it to her, and she would be like, oh, okay. As All Might would then look at her and, look at Deku, as they would all just kind of like chuckle to each other. As Deku would proceed to say, so All Might, what about that race? I think you think you might win, so how about we put that to the test? As All Might would then say, you're on, young Midoriya. As they would then get into their positions. They're going to race from here to the end of the beach. As in 1, 2, 3, go! And by the time that happened, Deku was already at the finish line. It took All Might about 10 more. All Might's not that slow. But taking All Might about 2 extra seconds to get there. As All Might would then say, what the? As Deku would then say, what took you so long, slowpoke? As All Might would then say, wow, that's impressive. As for the next 10 months, Deku's going to be doing some combat training, some physical, some working out along with Katsuki. She would have improved their explosions a lot, considering that One For All is a multiplier, or not a multiplier, but an enhancer, as well as reaching 15%. A little bit of combat training, of course, and toning her muscles out a bit. Deku would have done the same, except he would have actually developed a couple more moves. One of those moves being the vortex that he does with his hands, creating little tornadoes, thinking that you know what? If he can do that with his, with his feet, then what makes him think that he can't do that with something else? As Deku would then proceed to, hold on guys, my laptop's about to die, so I'm going to save this recording and come back in a bit. Hold on. Alrighty guys, I'm back. Sorry, my laptop was about to die and I was not about to lose that recording, because it was about, how long was that again? Yeah, let's just say 20 minutes. It was about 20 minutes long. But that being said, I was just barely getting into explaining what Deku had essentially learned over the 10 months. What he had ended up learning was essentially the tornado hands that, Kid Flash is able to do. And he also learned the ability to throw lightning. He also learned about, running in circle and throwing lightning. So, that's definitely going to add on to Deku's arsenal. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and cut over to the final day. At this point, Katsuki would have actually learned how to use about 15% of One For All, with Deku actually, being pretty proficient with his speed now at this point. And he would have definitely gotten way more of a speed boost at this point. It had been 10 months of a lot of training. So by this point, Deku was even faster than in the beginning. So, yeah. Also, forgot to mention, along that time, he would have actually met Gran Torino. During that time, Deku would have actually ended up hitting up his old master, trying to tell him if he could do him a favor and train one of these kids that these two kids that he knows. As Gran Torino would have actually came over to the beach and trained with them for about 1 week, actually racing Deku and seeing if this kid is really as fast as everybody's saying he is. Deku would have blitzed him and left him in the dust, and Gran Torino would have definitely gotten a little bit of a liking to Deku, because he is a speed-based person and Gran Torino is pretty damn fast. So he would have taught Deku about doing a little bit of unorthodox fighting style, as well as Katsuki. So they both would have developed their own weird fighting style. It would have been a little goofy, but it definitely will come in handy. There's some people who just get thrown off guard with that, as well as Deku would have actually developed a sort of cockiness whenever he's fighting. So Deku is going to be a little cocky in this version. But with that being said, now we have the exams. Deku and Katsuki would basically be saying their thank yous to All Might after the 10 months, and they would basically walk off to the exams. This time, there would be no Uraraka, and no real Ida interaction either. So, Deku would have actually used his speed to blitz over to Nezu, looking at the test scores, writing them down, and getting a perfect score. He would have never even gotten caught, so that would have definitely worked out very well for Deku. But with that being said, Deku would get a 100% on that. He would also do the same for Katsuki, since he's not a dick. So, with that being said, they would both get perfect scores, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to the robot portion. Now, as soon as the robot portion starts, I'm just going to say it, guys. Deku would proceed to quite literally, run around and dismantle the robots. He would literally take them apart. Like, this is no joke. Deku, by the end of it, would have about 700... No. Let's go ahead and give him... Let's give him 420 points, and he could have gotten more, but he did it to be funny, and afterwards he was just like, nice, because that's the perfect amount, the perfect time, and Deku would proceed to get that amount of score, 420. Now this is when Uraraka would actually get stuck. Now this time Deku actually wouldn't be the one that's near it. This time it would actually be Katsuki, and she would blitz over there using her strongest explosions to get there as fast as possible, to then grab Uraraka and, get out of there before the 0-pointer could smash them. At this point, she would then lay Uraraka down somewhere. She would then blitz back and see maybe she could do something. But it's at this point that Deku would blitz up over there as he would run up the robot and then zap it, conducting a lot of electricity by running together and moving his fingers really fast, as he would then have a little bit of electricity and touch the robot, as the robot would then just have its circuits fried, as it would just fall back, crushing about 3 buildings. As Deku would just start laughing, saying, "Sorry, Katsuki, I just wanted to see if I could, maybe help out. Didn't actually want to take it down. I wanted to see what you could do, but it was on accident," as she would say. I understand, as Deku and Katsuki would just proceed to laugh, as Uraraka would have seen that and been like, what the? As everybody else would have just seen Deku and Katsuki, thinking that, yeah, those two were definitely getting into UA. As they would walk home, Uraraka would thank Katsuki and they would go off. As they would both get their scores and be told that they actually ended up making it into UA. But with that being said, they both actually end up celebrating with each of their families, as Deku and Katsuki celebrate with Inko, as she's pretty happy. And Hisashi's over there on his business trips. Pretty sure that Hisashi doesn't exist. But he's over there on his little business trips, I guess you could say. As Deku would just be celebrating with his mother, Inko. As then, we have him celebrating with Bakugo's family. And it's, it's Katsuki's family. As they would have a pretty good day. Now, their family would actually tease Deku and Katsuki about dating. And they would both kind of blush, and they would both actually notice that. Thinking that, maybe they could. I mean, it kind of did seem like something may be able to happen. As, Deku and Katsuki would both just, write that off. Be like, no, like, I couldn't, right? Right? As, they're both just like, should we? Thinking to themselves, like, should I ask him out? As we're going to go ahead and cut on over to the first day of UA. Deku would blitz over to Katsuki's house as he then says, "You ready?" And she would say, "You already know." As she would hop on Deku's back and they would run on over there. This is when they would arrive about 30 minutes early, as they would just pick their seats. As Deku would sit in the back with Katsuki. As they would both just be talking the entire time. Now, this would lead to something very different happening. After all that jibber jabbering, after about 10 minutes, Aizawa would actually wake up being like, "Can you guys shut up back there?" As Deku would just be like, "Oh, sorry." As he would say, "Wait, why am I saying sorry to you? You're just, what are you doing here?" As he would say, "I'm Shota Aizawa. I'm your homeroom teacher. Now be quiet." As Deku would say, "Oh, yeah, sorry." As they would kind of stay quiet for a little bit. As afterwards, they would proceed to talk again, forgetting all about it. And this is when Uraraka would come in, thank all that extra stuff that she does. As this is when we're gonna go ahead and cut on over to when Aizawa essentially tells them all that they need to go meet him outside. This is when Deku and Katsuki would go to their fitting rooms. As Kirishima would point out that Deku is pretty damn ripped. Todoroki would notice this too, but not really say anything, thinking that, he's better anyways. So, we're going to go ahead and cut on over to when they're outside. This is when the ball gets thrown to Deku, as he's then told that he needs to throw it as fast as possible. This is when Deku would say, "Really? That's it? I just got to throw this ball?" As Aizawa would say, "Yeah, just stay inside the circle." As Deku would then say, "All right, that sounds perfect." As Deku would then run into a circle and no. Deku would just cock his hand back and forth, spinning it as fast as possible. As his clothes actually starts catching on fire. This one Deku's like, hot, 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 hot. And he then lets the ball go, getting a score of infinity. As Deku would then take off the suit, as he would rip off the higher portion, and he would just reveal how ripped he is to the rest of the girls. As they would all look at Deku and just kind of be drooling, I guess you could say. As Katsuki would be like, "Damn it, Deku." She would rush over there to him and smack him on the top of the head, telling him to cover himself up. As he would then say, "I'm sorry, but my clothes caught on fire. You know how it is." As she would say, "You're right." As Aizawa would then say, "Kid, go cover yourself up." As for the rest of the tests, Deku would do extremely well. In terms of the race, Ida's feelings would get a little hurt, seeing that there's somebody there who, is faster than him. I mean, being fast is his entire shtick, I guess you could say, because that is his entire thing. It's his little mojo, I guess you could say. It's his reason for being at UA. But if there's somebody else who, has speed and even better than him, I mean, what the hell? What is he supposed to do there? As, Deku was just sitting there, smiling, thinking that, this is actually pretty amazing. As, he ends up taking the rest of the tests, and not gonna lie, he does perfect on all of them. He gets the best scores you can get. Katsuki would actually get pretty amazing scores too, and by the end of it, it would be Deku, Katsuki, followed by the original order. That being said, guys, Katsuki and Deku would walk home. They'd have a little bit of a talk together as they walk home together. And that's where we're going to be leaving it off, guys. If you guys want part 2 to this, you guys are going to be having to smash 200 likes. After you guys do that, the next part will be released. But with that being said, you guys know the drill. It has been your boy Zether, and I am out.